All right, it's probably a safe assumption to say that most people go to the gym to promote an adaptive response. Now, granted, there might be some people who go to socialize, or others who just have too much time on their hands, or even others who just genuinely enjoy going to a building called the gym, spending time from their life inside that building that they'll never get back, and having absolutely nothing to show for it. But for the most part, I would argue that the reason most people go to a gym is to promote an adaptive response, because building muscle, that's an adaptive response. Increasing your capacity to showcase your strength, aka get stronger, that's an adaptive response. Losing fat, looking better, performing better, as subjective as some of those might be, they're still adaptive responses. Increasing your capacity to recruit, increasing your capacity to sustain a high level of force output, all adaptive responses. So it's safe to assume that most people go to a gym to promote some sort of adaptive response. In fact, that's what training programs are for. Training programs are nothing more than strategies designed to make you better at something, that something being the adaptive response that you wish to promote. Now, there's a fine line between where doing what you're doing is going to provide an optimal return on investment until it no longer is, because your body gets desensitized to what you're doing. Now, there's no guarantee you'll even get desensitized. In fact, a perfect example of someone who likely did not get desensitized to the work they're doing, Ronnie Coleman. If you Google some of his old training programs, you got old muscle magazines lying around, you take a look at the work he was doing, it's all pretty much identical. This would indicate to me that he didn't get desensitized to the work that he was doing because he consistently got better and better and better until Father Time caught up with him, which it does for everybody. Now, as it relates to desensitization, there's a whole spectrum here in which you can still get results, you can still provide a positive return on investment, it just happens at a slower rate, or you could get no results at all, where you're just doing the same thing over and over and over and not seeing any form of positive change. And one of the questions that comes up a lot is how long until I get to the point where my body adapts to what I'm doing or I become desensitized to the work that I'm doing. People want to focus on an external cue like a certain number of weeks, but it doesn't fucking work like that. The rate at which your body will get desensitized, if it even gets desensitized, will be based on how much you're doing, how frequently you're doing it, and how identical what you're doing is to what you've been doing. And this applies to anything in life. This applies to sex, this applies to drugs, this applies to alcohol, this even applies to food. If I were to ask you, how long would it take you to get sick of your favorite food or get desensitized to it? Would you say a certain number of weeks? Do you know a certain magical number in terms of an external number? Like how many weeks or how many days it would take you? Probably not. You'd probably say, well, Ben, it depends on how much of it I'm having, how frequently I'm having it, and how identical it is to the way I've been having it. Because something like pizza, you can change the toppings. So if you change the toppings, you might be able to tolerate it for longer. But if you have the same toppings every single time, every single meal, it's likely that you'll get desensitized faster, and there's still no guarantee that you will. Training is the same way. You like the information, share it, click the fucking button at the bottom of the screen you're looking at, subscribe to the channel, support me. I'm gonna keep on bringing it.